We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome once again to the Curling Stadium Martensville and Curling Zone live coverage from the Aly Jenkins Mixed Doubles Memorial. It is Championship Sunday. We had quarterfinals this morning. It's the semifinals here this afternoon, and we've got an all-Saskatchewan matchup in one semifinal. It's Nancy Martin, Steve Laycock against the team of Jill and Garret Springer. My name's Shawn, Joyce, joined by Ryan, Jacques, and already underway here in this first end of play. Martin and Laycock, by virtue of having a 4-0 record through round robin, the higher seed, they've got last rock here in the first end of play. Throwing the blue stones, Nancy Martin looking to get down to that red and maybe get to the inside. Well, Ryan, we had a good semifinal or quarterfinal, this morning. We're looking forward to another exciting matchup here in the semi.
We sure did. This is going to be an exciting one.
The Springer team, no slouches either. They came in with a record of 3-1 through the round robin, of course, picking up their fourth win this morning in the quarterfinal. Both of these teams this morning tied up coming home and needed to score a single point with last rock to secure the victories, move themselves into this semifinal. So they've had tight battles, each of them, already today. Garret Springer trying to bring this into the top of the 4-foot for shot rock. Does get it just far enough and maybe peeked out ever so slightly on the other turn. Tough to get it out from that side with all the rocks the back of the 4-foot. Now, Steve Laycock has not played a lot of doubles play, but he's been playing with Nancy for a couple of years and played with Patty Hersecorn before that. I don't know whether he's had a chance to play in Martensville since, but I know that he did play in an event in Martensville in the fall of 2021, and that was with Patty, and they actually won that event. They defeated Kim Hudson and her teammate in that final.
I think there was a tiny wick on that one. Maybe the smallest I've ever seen. But
I'm not sure. There was certainly the panic. She was calling girl, 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 and then suddenly it switched.
I need a second look at this.
I've already had a second. This is the third.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't look like it changed directions. Oh, maybe it did. Maybe it did.
With this curl, I have a hard time believing it would not over curl the guard on that one. It's really close. Hard to say. Maybe I'll just spam the replay button until we figure it out.
Unless you've got away with that replay button to get Steve to move his legs, then it's a little hard to tell.
True, yep.
I told my little story about Steve's previous experience playing doubles here, and part of it was just to see if Kim Hudson was watching this afternoon, because I did mention the name of her partner that lost that final. The name of her partner that lost that final is Shawn Joyce.
There we go.
Thought I could just slip that one in there. Yeah, you never heard of the guy, but made it to the final.
Nice.
Garret Springer with the hit comes across, taps his own stone into the bottom, and who's got second? Not sure.
That's real close. I'll have to guess red. That's just what it is, a guess.
Yeah, and I mean, it's probably not going to matter. Rocks are going to move yet, but that stone in the button is jamming onto something. Going to make the play directly onto the red. I thought they might consider coming onto the blue from the other side. Hit the blue. It's just biting the top of the forefoot. Move that red out sideways. If it dead jams the stone at the back of the forefoot, the potential is there for it to be a great result. Going to be pretty thin on the first one. Did he jam? He did.
That's not the way they drew it up.
No, it's definitely sitting red, sitting 2 now. That red on the button was
tough double takeout here.
Yeah, that red on the button was always going to jam the back one. The question was, where was it going to sit? And if it sits like that, cornered onto the blue, it was never going to be great for them. But that one that they left at the top of the button is a real problem now.
It sure is. Yep.
Garret Springer a chance to bring a third one in.
Yeah, and like you said before, the time is running out on this end with only 5 rocks.
Yeah.
I have a lot of opportunities.
Okay. It almost feels like it's running out when you throw the first one, when you only get to throw 5.
Yep.
Garrett's got to be a little careful where he puts this. Steve can still see a piece of that red stone on the button, and if you're right beside it, he might be able to make a triple on the reds. Don't think that's going to be consideration. This looks heavy. That's not a bad spot, because it means you can't slash that red. It's just going to jam on the pocket.
It's interesting.
He's looking at the run back. Red guard onto the blue stone, top of the forefoot. They need to pick that one off the top of the button. I mean, you could hit this just right, get rid of all 3 reds. That's a tough play, even in tough line call, even in 4-player curling.
Absolutely. It's a pretty precise shot, but you do see this run back quite a bit in mixed doubles, so should be used to throwing in this spot at least.
He might have set that a little bit. He does not want to hit it on that side at all.
Well, on the bright side, it's going to be tough to steal 2 here. pretty easy to come down to that red one. If you try to get another red in the 4-foot, you got that blue top 4, no guard in front of it now.
Yeah. Mind you, I think the blue onto the red would leave the blue shot rock.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Be close. They're looking at putting it into the side of the 4. You certainly don't want it to be even with the other red stone, because then they could drive the blue into the pocket formed by the 2 reds, move them both, and perhaps score 1. A little bit of stagger one way or the other, though, and if you play the raise on that blue, it could spin out of the rings. Looks like they're going to play it as a straight guard, try to take away the run on the blue as well, force them to make the wide draw. I'd still be tempted to come in. Even if you're not right into the 4-foot, into the 8-foot, there's so much curl here. A guard in the 12-foot that blocks the raise isn't going to take the draw away at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. Might as well load it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I would argue here they're too worried about taking away the short little run, and they've left what is a pretty makeable draw on this ice with backing.
Yeah, like you said, Shawn, there's definitely room in there to just enough room to sneak on the pin.
It does sound like they're going to play it with weight. I mean, you could play the hit and roll off the red stone that's fully out in the open too. It's always a little scary to play it with weight because you roll out, could still be 2.
They could just be going for the nose here, give them 1. But I think you might be able to get in there with the roll.
Yeah.
We shall see.
This is getting tight early, though. I'm not sure she's going to be by the guard.
Not a chance. Nope.
So the Springers steal 3 here in the opening end of play, jump out to a big lead. Martin and Laycock will have last rock again in the second.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
What do you got? You got 1, you got 2, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Well, a steal of 3 to start things off in the opening end of play. The Springers have the lead. Jill with the first stone here in the second end, looking to come into the 4-foot. A little bit of deja vu for you and I, Ryan. We had the semifinal this morning, 2 different teams, of course, but started out with a 3-ender in that game as well.
That's right.
It was actually back-to-back 3s, and the Guana and Aoki foursome ended up having a rather quick game. Actually left me plenty of time to get in a workout between games.
There you go. Nice.
I mean, I didn't do it, but I had plenty of time.
I see. Well, same here. That was a very dominant performance from the Kawana Aoki team. And I feel like we might see them in the final. I guess depends how their semifinal goes, of course.
Yeah, they're playing 2 sheets over in the other semifinal, an all-Japanese semifinal, playing against Matsumura and Tanida. Matsumura and Tanida, the other team that went undefeated in round-robin play. The nice thing for your shooting percentages in doubles is we never know exactly what they're playing here. He's going to try to come down to that blue. I don't know whether he's going to try to move it yet or not, or just set up an angle to perhaps move it later. He's got a nice line. Get just across the face, just slightly across the face, and now it's angled so that if you ever did get to play a hit, red goes on to blue, the red at the back of the 4 goes on to the blue in the 8. Might have liked it to curl maybe an inch more, then probably both blues leave if you get a chance to hit it.
Yeah, that would have been ideal. Still a very usable rock for them.
It is, if it stays there. It's not likely to stay there. Now it's
Right.
Steve Laycock's time to try to manipulate those angles.
Especially if he gets a really nice corner freeze with this outturn. It'll be lined up to get some of the red rocks moving here.
Would like to stay on the broom side of this red a little bit. Now this has been a very nicely played end so far. Both teams manipulating angles with every shot.
Sure has. I'm not really even sure who has the best angles at the moment.
I'm gonna say it's Martin and Laycock. If you could hit that blue, and you don't have to hit it hard, the blue at the back of the button isn't going very far. It's going to jam on the back red, and the other red pops out in the open.
That is true. Yeah. Leaves kind of both blues under the guard too.
Yeah.
That way, yeah.
So Garret looking on this one, I think, just to take that away. He's got a good angle on the red-blue on the other turn, but if you play that, it just makes the blue onto the red easier. You have to be so patient in a game where you only get to throw 5 rocks at an end. That did not get the angle he wanted.
Not only that, you can see more of that red one than you could of the blue before, so that angle's quite a bit better. You can definitely get a peel weight going at that one. Past the guard if you wanted to. I guess the red one would stay there, locked on the blue, potentially.
Yeah, that probably doesn't hurt them. The red at the top of the button is going to likely fly.
Easy.
I guess the concern you might have if you throw it too quiet is where does your shooter end up? Do you leave it in a spot where they might be able to come off of it? So you probably throw this hard enough to lose your shooter. Just jam the red onto the blue. Blue onto the red. The red should squeeze out. The blue at the back of the button should jam the back red one. And you should be sitting 2 after this, I would think. Still buried.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, Shawn. It's going to be some interesting drag here.
Yeah. get the shooter out of the way, I think, is important. Well, he wasn't wide for sure. It's on the guard. Now can you get it dragging the other way? I don't know what they're looking at, but I'm looking at a pick on the blue. If you throw the in turn, thin hit the blue at the top of the 4. Now, because of the drag and the direction you're hitting it from, I think both blues leave and the reds all stay.
Yeah. Oh, physics.
And that's what I mean about it. The start of this end. Both teams did such a good job setting up angles. You would have to throw some weight to get both blues out. The first one leaves easy, but you're not hitting the first one very thick, which means it's not hitting the red one very hard. And it's that third blue one because it's going to come off the top of a red. It's 4 rocks you've got to move to make that shot. They're not even going to try it. Straight guarding the red here, I would think. The red in the 8-foot.
Look at the ice they're taking here. That's pretty much on the board.
It would be tempting to actually throw this guard from the other turn. What they're worried about is over curling. And certainly from this turn, if you over curl, you're protecting the wrong side.
This one's looking a bit toasty. Maybe they're trying to come in.
Maybe coming right in by it. I'm not sure.
I don't know if that's the call. Oh. I don't know if you can see enough to make that enough, but they might be able to with a missile.
They've got the red at the top too, so you could definitely make some reds fly here. If you could get by the stone at the top of the 8, hit the one on the edge of the 4-foot. Steve would just move so we could see some air. Yeah, it'd be great if you could just make the double in the 4-foot. So it looks like they're going after the one on the edge of the 4-foot. Steve, it sounded like, thought if they hit the red at the top of the 8, their blue at the back of the button was going to spill out of the 4-foot. I'm not sure that it would. He talked about it dragging to the right. I think it drags back when the rocks are lined up that way. Got to get just by the front one. He does, comes across and does remove both of them.
Beautifully executed. So there are some easy blue doubles in there. But still, he's pretty happy about that one.
Just had enough room to get by that stone at the top of the 8, make the double. I think there's a double on the blues. Obviously a double, the red onto the blues catches the 2 of them, but I'm not sure that it touches the 3rd one at all. I guess the other part of this might be just where do you want to hit this? You could actually hit it just off the nose on the center line side because the top red stone's not going to go very far either. And just roll to the other side of center and kind of leave the 2 red stones where it blocks the path to the 4-foot a little bit. hit it right on the nose, I think the two blues go away. But if you're on the nose, the red, your shooter stays there, the other red pops to the broom side. They're still going to have the intern on the intern draw for the second point. Needs to come up a little bit. This is going to be on the outside.
Interesting.
Do you want to? Is the double there? Does it go by the blue?
I think it's there.
Not even going to look
risk
at it.
Giving up the steal of two, though.
Boy, if that had popped over a little bit farther, that would have made this decision a little tougher. If it's there, it's just there. But if it rolls over a couple more inches, and it's for 4 if it's there, right?
Yeah. I imagine early in the game they're just going to draw down to the blue one here.
Yeah. Oh, sure. They didn't even look at it. So they're playing the draw for 2. But if that rolls over 3 inches farther, she did hit it on the outside, right? If it rolls over 3 inches farther where there's not as much risk of putting into the blue, and there's always going to be some risk, but in order to make the shot, you've got to come real tight by your shot rock. Sweeping for curl, feeling this stone might be a little heavy. Got to get close to the nose of their own. They don't have a lot of room to roll. Not going to touch it at all. A bit of a missed opportunity there. Nancy Martin had the chance to draw for 2. They do pick up their single, and they closed within 3-1. But it will be Springer and Springer with the 2-point lead and last rock when we come back for the third.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Wasting no time here as we get underway in the third end. Martin and Laycock, Nancy Martin with the draw to the corner of the button. Maybe ever so slightly, wondering where that was just a few seconds ago. But it does set them up nicely to start this third end. Jill Springer coming from the other side. She'll try to get to the inside corner of that blue stone. Well, this line's looking really nice coming in. Sits right on the corner, actually rubs off just a little bit. If it doesn't bounce off, it's in great spot. There's probably enough room to move it now, though. For what it's worth, I think the red is shot, but I don't think there's any chance those two rocks are staying in the exact same position for the rest of the end.
That's not the nature of doubles here.
No. They may not move far, but they're going to move.
So, Shawn, what does this Martin Laycock team need to start building their way back to the tied game, even taking the advantage into the second half?
You know, they didn't have a bad end last end. They got some angles set up well early, but they've had a couple of their takeout attempts. Nancy's last one in the first end and the one of Steve's last end where they were a little tight and crashed guards. Now, you know, it hurts more on the scoreboard with Nancy's in the first end because it crashed a guard on the last stone and it's a steal of 3. But even Steve's attempt last end, crashing the guard when he was trying to make the little slash on at the top of the forefoot, you know, it's basically the same as giving your opponent 2 shots in a row.
For sure. Yeah.
So it's not that they played poorly. They've had one shot they'd like to have over in both of the first 2 ends. They'd have been in much better shape.
And that's all it can take sometimes when you have 2 good teams like this. A really close game. They're not out of the woods yet.
It's hard enough to recover from a miss in 4-player curling when you've got 8 rocks. You miss 1, you still got 7 to make up for it. You've only got 5 here. You miss 1, that's 20% of your stones you've missed, and tough to make up for that.
Totally puts you behind the 8 ball. Well, this is a great opportunity to capitalize for the Martin Laycock team. You get a blue rock in there, it's not going anywhere very easily.
Yeah, you got to be careful. I don't think you want to move the red.
For sure. You want to use that pocket. If anything, I'd even say move that top blue a little bit down and to the right.
You could over curl and touch the blue and you're okay, but if you move the red, could they not slash the blue on the other side and get all 3 blues moving?
Absolutely could.
So that's the thing. You don't want to move that red. Actually, this early in the end, you could even be short of the red. Sit this in the top forefoot. What would the springers have? It does come onto the corner of the blue. Red's still sitting 1, but that's a pretty good looking house for Martin and Laycock.
It sure is. If they could have moved that blue a hair farther and so it's lined up onto the red one more directly, that would have been awesome for them. Just a hair short.
Well, they've got
a lot of pressure on though.
Yeah, they've got Garret looking at running the blue guard into the blues in the rings. Now they are angled. If he hits it right, he could probably make all 3 of them fly and lose the guard, but there's also the potential for disaster. As always, it doubles. Makes them all move. It will be Martin and Laycock sitting 2, but a lot more room in the forefoot now for Jill and Garret.
Absolutely. He's got to be pretty happy with that one.
I think so. It was starting to look like they were going to have trouble. Even though they were shot rock at the moment, it was starting to look like they were going to have trouble scoring because the shot rock is the one at the back of the button. Now they've got a draw path. They've also got a blue in the edge of the 8-foot they could come off of. Steve Laycock has to be a little bit careful where he puts this. You're sitting 2 and drawing in to put a 3rd one in, and you dare not leave a triple because there's a couple of reds hanging around at the back 8-foot.
I think that's great if they play that.
Yeah, I don't think they're playing that.
I'm more worried about being butt or not butt where they tap it in their hurry. Well, you should be wide open if they make a double. Well, ideally right beside that though, hey? Okay.
So what Steve's talking about when he says right beside it is dead even with the stone at the top of the 8-foot, but he needs to be behind cover. You can't be in a spot where they can hit this rock first. They have to come off the other one. If they're coming off the other one, they're jamming it on the red, and their shooter will stay in the open. But if you leave this in a spot where they can hit this one first, they could make the triple. This is a long ways out there.
Another end-to-end brush from Steve Laycock. He's working himself hard here.
Yeah, there's probably a thin double available on those two if you wanted to hit that one first, but it's up high enough that you'd have to be thin on the first one. You'd never get the third one. It does clear the red if you do it that way. Like if you could make that double, the one that's touching the center line, come across and catch the other one full 8 foot. You could sit second. You could sit second, third, and fourth.
With the outturn, you're starting the rock on the other side of center line, so it's not like you're coming straight on parallel to the center line. Like that rock's a little more buried than they might be thinking right now. It's a precise shot to get past the red and not go right through the uprights.
It's hard to put a draw in a good spot either because Steve could always come off, or I guess it would be Nancy. We'd be down to the last 2 stones. But if you draw into the 4 foot somewhere, Nancy could always come off that blue stone that's full 8 foot into whatever you put in the 4 foot.
Yeah.
They're looking at the straight draw. I'm not sold on this, to be honest.
I wonder if they're thinking of kind of chiseling off with the backhouse weight, chisel off the blue, try to take away that. But with this ice, that looks like a straight draw to me for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to chisel and stay in front of the tee line too.
Yeah.
Nothing on the brush yet. He might have to chisel. This looks a little strong. Yeah, that almost looked like it was a plan B. I heard her call curl and then straight, and it makes the port between them and slides to the back 8.
So how do you give them the toughest shot here? They're going to be facing 3 or 4, but you don't want to leave them an easy shot.
You split the blues. Just how do you do it? Steve's looking at doing it from the out-turn side. I kind of like it from the in-turn. You can make it from either side, obviously, but... To me, the most important part of that split is to cover the one at the back 4 foot so she doesn't have any kind of backing. Make her throw the draw cold. But you come down with, you can do it with either turn, but just looking at throwing it with the in turn, catch the blue stone on the center line. Pretty much the edge of your stone touching center when it makes contact. Build a 1 blue just to bite the 4 foot. Have your shooter come and bite the 4 foot on the other side. You can make the straight draw and take away the backing as well. She'd have to play that same port that Garret just threw. Kind of looked like they're playing the out turn when Nancy left. And if she's playing the out turn, I got to think she's playing the... Yeah, you can hear her talking about trying to bump it. So she's playing the tap. You can take everything away with this. Roll the shooter into that port that was just... that Garret just went through.
That would be the dream. Let's see what they can do here. Back 8, back 12 out of hand, I heard.
That's a lot for the amount that she's trying to move this stone. Not able to touch it. It comes to the back and up against the stone that Garret had just thrown. They do sit 4, but it has left room for Jill to try the draw, and she's got some backing. Even if she over-curls the one in the 4-foot, I think if she comes to the one that Nancy just threw, she's probably second shot.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah, you get to the nose of that, so you cut him down.
Yeah, for the split they were playing, that was a lot of weight. Like, even if she makes contact with the blue, one of them is going too far, if not both of them. She'll play this as a cold draw. Jill will be watching the line. Garret will let her know if they need the backing. Doesn't get to worry about whether or not they need the backing. He's calling for help. She's running down. They've got to get by the one at the top of the 8-foot.
Oh, great sweeping.
Had to go on the brush to try to get by, and that made it a little bit heavy. That little bit of rub actually slows it down, redirects it onto the stone at the back 4. Put a single point on the board for the Springers. They restore that 3-point lead they had after the first. Martin and Laycock with last rock in the 4th.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Well, single point for Springer in the third end, and after sweeping right out of her hand until it stopped, Garret Springer gets a little bit of a rest on this one as Jill comes down, puts it right to the back of the 4-foot, and corner frozen on the shot stone. The pre-positioned stone starts the end. I don't know if that's something you worry about in doubles. I just made my brusher sweep all the way down. Do I make sure I throw enough weight on that first stone in the second end so he doesn't have to do it again?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. You don't want to tire them out. He's going to throw on the next shot. I suppose there's also more margin on the backside. Like if you're 2 feet light, well, that's 2 feet light. If you tap the rock 2 feet, you were probably 3 feet heavy. So you have a little bit more room on the heavy side if you want to run into rocks. So that there is that too, you don't tire out your sweepers.
Yeah.
Added benefit.
Nancy Martin now will try to come down to the red stone and throwing it from the intern side. She'll look across the face a little bit and see if she can't move it.
Well, the only thing she'll be moving is this guard, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was going to say, even if she got by the guard, I'm not sure she would have stayed on the red stone in the rings. So they're looking to come in dead berry behind that red guard that's just off the center line now. You know, it's interesting. I'm kind of looking at what Jill's looking at now. It's unconventional. You wouldn't normally do it, but you could lob a guard into that hole, and what do Martin and Laycock do?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like you'd be guarding a rock behind the tee line, but like the intern would be gone. They might have to peel a guard just to make sure they've got room to get in. It's a funny thing because you don't see that guard get moved off the center line this early in an end very often, and it's just hard to know what you might want to play in that situation. Well, they didn't really get either. He's going to bite the 12-foot, but on this ice with this amount of curl, that's still just a guard. Steve could see shot rock, going to make a play on it. I think I heard back line.
Makes sense to me. Keep the blue as third shot. You never know.
Couple of different ways you could do this actually with backline weight. You could hit it just slightly on the broom side and roll with the red one, stay in front of it. Or you get across the face, roll underneath, although you will be behind the tee line. They got most of the way in behind cover. It does leave the freeze. It's a tough freeze because of where that blue corner guard is, though.
Yeah, that line might be more queued up for a little bump to sit to rather than freeze with the amount of curl we're seeing here in Martensville this weekend.
Well, and if you're going to play the bump, you have to make sure you get it out of the rings because you're liable to leave a double on the reds. I heard him say it has to be back four. He's thinking he could make it with back four. Looks like Jill's wants to play the out turn, which is not a bad call either. You could certainly get there with the out turn still. Corner freeze the blue with the out turn side, and you've still limited the damage here. The concern here would be if you throw enough weight and you bounce off and leave the double on the reds, it could be a double and roll behind cover, sitting three. Sweeping for curl. Not going to get by the blue one. And overlap the two reds at the top. Now, how much room is there left?
Not a whole lot of room, but
no.
You could squeak a rock in there.
Yeah, but you heard Steve say we may as well hit that later. And you may not need to. I mean, if you're just drawing for the extra point, you might throw that. The problem with hitting it now is you leave this out turn draw and they can get down to the face of your shot rock and really limit the end. So he's going to try to make that draw first. Steve Laycock with his second of 3 here in the fourth end. Looking to come down to his own shot rock, sit 2. Heavy's not good. He will come down, nudge it a little bit, but rolls off. That leaves a pocket. Yeah, there was just no good result. Heavy there. You could have been light. You've still got availability to get that red through the port. This shot still has to be made, though. Garret Springer needs to get to the inside of the one Steve just threw. Whether he's shot rock on this or even just second, doesn't really matter. The key is to get this into a spot where it's difficult to remove. Between those two blues, I don't know if there's enough end left for Martin and Laycock to deal with this stone. And you could hear Garret say this is way up. He's got a lot of weight and a lot of line. Touches the blue, but just enough to make sure it's second shot. Another chance for Steve Laycock to get into the top of the 4-foot on this side, take away the path to that pocket. Really good line coming in. Can he get it in far enough to outcount that red at the back of the 4? And he does.
Oh, just enough.
Really important, actually, as you look at things around the house, that fifth shot actually belongs to Springer and Springer. That blue at the back 12 is sixth. So even if they were left with a hit, it's just for 4. So they're going to try the draw through the port. It does kind of look like if you make the port, you might be able to get down to the shot rock and at least sit second. This is not an easy port with a draw on this ice. Saw Garret crash already, and the port's a little narrower now.
If you can ever get there.
Yeah, like I think coming from this side, you probably have to move it, but only an inch or so to be shot rock. And if you do, I don't know what Nancy would have.
I think she'd have enough room to play maybe a backline hack weight or so and play that out turn just by the red guards.
The one that Steve just put in the top of the 4, that's what you're thinking? Maybe.
Probably about the only thing they would even have if it is there. We'll have to see where this one lands.
Final stone for Jill Springer here in this 4th end. 3-point lead, but facing 3, and this is a long ways out there.
really trying.
Yeah, she made the port, but when he had to carve it over that hard, I don't think it's getting by the stone at the top of the 4. Well, how much risk do you want to take on to get the 4th one?
Good question.
Yeah, because the only way I see to do it is to hit that stone at the back of the 4-foot, and there's some risk. You crash the one that was just thrown. You might
could
only
raise
score
the
1.
angle, raise the blue.
Same
That's also
problem
a bit
though.
risky.
Exact same risk. If you put it onto the red at the top of the 4, you might only get 1.
Is there room for an outturn draw here? Squeeze it in between those 2 blues.
You've got to be full 4 to beat out the one at the back of the 4-foot, so I'm not sure that there is. You can't hurt yourself playing that one, though. And that might be worth thinking about. If you don't throw this rock, you're tied. If you throw the outturn where you can't hurt yourself, you're still guaranteed to be at least tied.
Not sure what they settled on here.
Yeah, I heard Steve say something about nose take the other turn, which should mean that she's throwing the out turn at it so that it will take the in turn coming into the house.
Huh.
She's setting up for the out. Basically just playing the draw weight tap. Well, that was a big set on the release.
A very safe set.
Well, we're all tied up after 4 ends of play. Martin and Laycock picking up the 3 here in the 4th end. Springer and Springer will have last rock when we come back. It'll be the 5th end. Aly Jenkins Mixed Doubles Memorial here live from Martensville.
On behalf of the volunteer board, the support team, and all the families who will be helped by this year's Sandra Schmirler Foundation Telethon, thank you for being a part of this historic moment. $1,126,014, a new record, exceeding our goal, and most importantly, countless families from St. John's to Victoria to Yellowknife and babies in over 100 hospitals in between will be impacted by your generosity. And we couldn't do it without the amazing partnerships we have with Curling Canada, TSN, and Net2Phone Canada. They connect you, our generous supporters, with so many of the Scotties participants and our volunteers on Telethon Day. A special thank you to Jocelyn and Brett for sharing little Luke Gallant's stories, and all of the families across this great country who shared stories of how Sandra's legacy has helped their little ones grow up and become champions. In each of the last 3 years, because of generous supporters like you, the Sandra Schmirler Foundation has been able to give back $1 million to help babies in every province and territory. And this year's telethon will ensure we can continue that incredible momentum. Thank you for helping champions start small.
Thank you, Canada!
Shawn, Joyce, Ryan, Jacques with you here live from the Aly Jenkins Mixed Doubles Memorial, live in Martensville. Semi-final action on Championship Sunday. All tied up after 4 ends of play. I had a moment to check during the commercial break. I see that we're having a few technical issues updating the score in the other semi-final, so I peeked in at their video, and it's very close as well. They're just finishing up the 4th end there, tied up as they play it.
What happened there?
I have to think Steve must have touched that stone.
Huh.
So we've got a burnt stone.
Looking real good in there.
Yeah, and it had to be a very subtle touch because you didn't even see the line change. Steve was a little upset with himself.
That's a tough one when you get the three right back. That could be a momentum shift, but we'll see if he decides to let it bother him on his shots.
Well, we talked about it already, too. With a couple of narrow hits that they threw earlier and just crashed guards, you miss a shot in any way, shape, or form, but a burnt stone is essentially a completely missed shot. That's 20% of your stones for the end. It's tough to make that up.
Oh, we'll have an opportunity right here. Top 8 on this ice is the guard.
They would have liked to get that a couple of feet deeper. They'll love the line. The line's great. If that's top of the 4-foot, it makes this freeze to the back 4 really tough.
What would be the perfect depth for that? Because you're too high like this, you can come around it. Too deep, of course, you can tap it around.
Yeah, on this ice, the way it curls, I think if you're just biting the top of the 4-foot, you're probably good. Yes, they're still going to be able to make a freeze to the back one, but they're probably not going to be locked on the face. So it forces them to decide whether they're going to play to the back one or corner freeze the front one, where you'd still be sitting 2. That's half the battle in doubles, is to never leave a clear-cut choice for the opposition as to what shot they should play. Not able to get by that top one, however.
This is the 4th rock. They can hit that blue out if they so desire.
And I bet they so desire. The little hit and roll is there. Now, you don't have to play it with big weight. You don't even have to kill it, honestly. If you get it just through the 8-foot at the back, you're sitting 3. It's more important to get the right roll here. You certainly don't want to hit it on the outside. You'd put it into the red. This is kind of the reverse to what I was just talking about, though, for Martin and Laycock. They've made it pretty obvious what Garret Springer is going to have to play here. It's the only decision was about how much weight to play. He's close. I'd like to get just to the inside, trying to get some last-minute curl. It's just going to get nose. Moves that stone out of the back of the 4-foot. That might not be a bad result for the Springers either, though. Still sitting 3, and they've got last rock here in the 5th. Only one stone, that stone that's just nibbling the top of the 4-foot. Everything else is in the 8-foot. Lots of room to score. Steve was eyeing up the hit and roll behind cover, I think noticing that it's got a jam at the back, and you still might have to play that shot, but it's how many reds do you want to leave around?
He's just drilled about 5 feet. He's just drilled about 5 feet with that line. Middle 8. I think even that might be snug, but I think that's probably good. We can hold it.
If Garrett's curled 5 feet, then he was quite a bit wide because he had Broom at the edge of the 8-foot. He didn't get to the center line.
Yeah.
So that's less than 4.
A little confused there myself, too.
Didn't get to the inside. Touches the second red. Doesn't get anything out of the rings. They're looking at the draw. I'm or even the chisel. I'm not. I'm looking at the double on the blues. Why do you want to congest things in the forefoot this early? You've got all kinds of room to score. But if you make the double on the blues, you're sitting 4. And where can Martin and Laycock hide? You put this in the
hard pressed to find a good spot to hide.
You put this in the forefoot, and they're drawing to it.
Yep. Not to mention, I think Blue's sitting shot rock right now. It's really close.
Yeah, true. I mean, you could deal with that with the chisel too, but
yep.
Like if you roll into the forefoot, they're just going to try to freeze to it. He's playing this as a draw. This is almost a case of they've got blinders on. It's so much of the format says you're drawing to the forefoot. You've got last rock here and lots of room to score. Even in a 4-player game, if you come into the forefoot here with all those reds around the outside, they're just going to freeze to the face of you and take all those biters away.
Pretty much, yep. It's might work out, but I don't know. That blue one's going to stick around with this draw, of course. Oh, nicely executed shot.
Hopefully Steve paid a little closer attention to where Garret had the broom on that one, because the last one didn't curl 5 feet. So,
yep.
Wherever Garret had the broom on the last one, it's kind of where you need to have the broom here. You got to follow it right down, sit on the face, maybe even slightly on the corner, because there is the risk they could play the thin double off the blue that's in the 8-foot. So if you stay staggered a little bit on that side, you won't be able to get it out over the top of the red.
Totally. I think that's crucial here. If you're frozen on the nose, I think they're going to take a crack at that thin double. You'll probably lose the one on the button, but lots of reds hanging around, so they won't be too fussed.
This has got a lot more line.
Nicely done.
We can't hear the conversation, of course, but I'm just wondering if part of the conversation in the house is, well, why did we throw that to the top of the button?
Hindsight is 20/20.
Just the way he waved the broom there, I wonder if he's thinking about just smashing it and try to get the double out of the forefoot. I'm not sure you can actually get close enough to the nose to do that. So he's going to play the in turn, try to tap the one at the top of the 8-foot into the one that was just thrown. Doesn't need to move that blue very far, but he has to release it from the red.
We're only playing the hit half, so that's pretty good, I think. Especially if I'm a quiet half. What do you think? Does that look like max? Inch less, I guess? Yeah.
This is one of those ones where you might try to hold it straight until you're by the guard and then try to carve it at the end. Well, that's a nice shot. Moved it far enough to actually be sitting 2 already, and it's close for third, but I do think it's the blue at the top of the 8-foot.
Yeah, that blue's still kicking around. They did have the chance to hit it, as we said.
Well, it probably means at least one of those reds at the back is never going to come back into play. The other one's still a factor.
Yeah, very nicely done. That was quite a bit of weight. It played it close to the guard and made it beautifully.
I mean, if it was Jill's shot here, the triple's probably there for 6. So Nancy's got to get something in play here. I don't think they'll be throwing a hit anyway. I think she's got to be throwing some kind of draw, doesn't she?
You could chase the one on the button, just hit it out and give them 2. But a draw would, I think, is your best chance to force for sure.
You could still be giving them 3 if you make the chase, because they could play the red, the top of the button, onto the blue that you're about to throw, and the shooter comes across and moves the other one enough that stone at the back of the 8-foot comes in.
That's true. It's some good angles up there for them.
Yeah, so if you're going to chase, I don't think you want to move it to just back 4-foot like they just suggested. I think if you're going to chase it, you got to get it out of the 8-foot.
Yeah.
Do you dead freeze that red? Can you get just a sliver to the inside corner? Like, that's probably your best result if you can get there.
I think you could get there.
Yeah.
Very precise, of course.
Yeah, you have to flirt with that red just biting the top of the 4-foot to make it. But yeah, I think it's there. It's your best result. You probably hold him to 1 if you make that.
Yep.
Looks like that was what they're playing. So Nancy Martin with her final stone here in end number 5. Tie game. Facing a couple trying to freeze onto shot stone on the button. That's on the wrong side.
It is, yeah. Almost goes into the back blue, hey?
you could hit this either way, right? You don't even have to hit the red first. Hit the blue, come across, drive the red into the one she just threw, and it's for 4. You know, if you had to hit the red first, you'd be flirting with the guard, but you don't.
Does that red ever come back into the back 8 blue and get 5 if you hit it perfectly? I wonder.
I don't think you could ever hit it that thick. Keep in mind the center guard's still out there.
That is true. There it is.
You can see Garret eyeing the line as though he thinks they got to hit the red one first. I don't know why you'd flirt with the guard.
You almost just throw it into the crotch. You got your You got your 4.
You don't have to be anywhere near the guard if you play off the blue first. You don't really have to be. I mean, if you're close to the guard, you're probably not. If you're close to the guard, we might find out on your theory if it's going to go back into the other blue. Getting me all excited. I haven't seen a 6 yet.
Yeah, that would be something else.
Jill Springer with her final stone. She's got big weight on this. Might be a little too thick on the first one. a lot too thick on the first one. Just comes across and nudges the second one. It's only going to be a single point. Martin and Laycock probably feeling like they dodged a bit of a bullet there.
Absolutely.
They trail by 1, and they'll have the hammer when we come back for the 6th, and I wonder if we might see a power play.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardlines Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
What do you got? You got 1, you got 2, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Sixth end, and we see our first power play here in this semifinal. Martin and Laycock with last rock. Jill Springer going to try to push that corner guard into the rings. She's going to make contact with it now. The question is, how far does she push it? Rolls the shooter out of the way. Steve Laycock ready at the tee line. Couldn't sweep it before that. It's the opposition stone. It stops in the back 12. That's a legal shot. So now for Nancy Martin. Do you throw the corner guard or do you come in again? They can't hit yet, even without a guard.
Yeah, I'm not so well versed myself on the strategy, so can't help you there.
It's a decision, right? Because if you throw the corner guard and make it, you kind of force them to play the corner freeze, and if that's made, you have a trouble using any of these stones. So they throw the corner guard. That's made. Garret Springer, I think, playing the corner freeze, but boy, that's a lot of ice. He's trying to get to the corner of the blue. This has got to curl 7 feet. Well, 6.5. 6.5 anyway. Nothing on the brush yet. This has still got a lot of room. Really starting to move now. If he can get it deep enough, he should have a great one here. Oh, what a great throw. Look at how much ice he took to get that.
Wow.
You can still see a piece of that red stone, which means that Garret could go after the blue, just slash the red into it. And that means Steve's got to do something about the red one. I heard him say back line. You'd love to be able to get it by your own stone. It's going to be tough. You throw the extra weight, it'll run a lot straighter. By the front one. Now can he clear the blue stone on the edge of the 8? We'll just touch it. But that takes enough of the steam off it. It's still the red sitting at the back of the 8-foot that is shot rock.
Very interesting setup here. You could go after the double, you could guard, or anything in between.
Could draw for second shot or even shot rock at the other side of the house too. Problem is you draw the open side, they're probably just going to tap that blue up for now. Be tempting to run the guard and see if you can't kill 2 of them. You might get all 3. Going to play the draw to the open side. It's not a bad call. Sit 2. The only problem is you have to make sure this is deep because you can't leave the crosshouse double, which means there's going to be red rocks that Martin and Laycock can use. If we were 1 rock later in the end, I'd say this is the call for sure. It's just tough to know right now. Got to make it. Called it, you got to make it. Line should never be a problem here, but he does have to get shot or second well behind the tee line, ideally. I don't think he got that deep enough. Steve thinks it's there. I agree it's there. If you didn't want to play it now, you could corner freeze on the inside of it and then cue it up to go across on the next one too. This is where you're thankful these are brand new rocks with very lively striking bands. You could throw the out turn. If the bands weren't so lively, you'd probably have to throw the in to get the action. Makes the hit, comes across into the back side of it. Enough to move the red. He does lose the shooter out the back of the 12-foot, but for now, sits 2. That is the part of doubles that I think would be hard. She's calling him on for line right away, and you just threw peel weight, and you have to catch up to it before you can sweep. Garrett Springer eyeing up the double on the blues. It is possible with this, I think, to jam, and that might have been what Jill is saying, and they just want to take a look at these angles. you'd have to be very unlucky because he's going to throw some weight at this. And they're not dead lined up. So if you're jamming solidly enough onto the back red, you're hoping the top one would spin out. And if you dead stuff the first blue into the second blue, you would think with this weight, that blue should spin out the second blue off the red. Come tight by the guard, you can get them both. Well, he's not tight by the guard. It's buried now.
Yep.
Just going to draw into towards the center line, sit 3. This is another one where I'd be tempted to just draw open side. If you put this in the top 4 foot, they're going to hit and roll behind.
And that's an easy roll because you can throw peel weight, and depending on how deep you are, of course, but you might not even have a chance to roll over top of a blue. You just roll right in the side of that T-line blue and you're dead buried. They got nothing but a long run back for 2, which they're probably not going to play. Uh-oh. Oh.
Well, it's a thin double, but if you're a little thick on the double, you could almost make the triple. If you come across the top of the second one, it's going back towards that third one for sure. There's nothing you could jam on.
This is really close. Yep.
It's really thin to make the double, thinner than you'd like to be hitting. I think if you're just trying to play the double and stick it, I think a third's too much. I think you're looking for a quarter. A third might make the triple.
Oh, it's going to be very close. At the very least, you'll stick it edge on edge and force them to do a tricky shot.
Oh, she set the release.
I don't know if she has a piece of this.
Just enough to get it to hang on at the other side, but I don't think there's any way to get to that back red one.
No way that's worth it.
Steve was suggesting it, but only because he's not the one that had to throw it.
Yep. Well, this has been quite the game so far. A big steal of 3 in the first end, a bit of a missed opportunity last end. There's a double for 3, maybe 4. And now drawing for 3.
They have not had the lead yet in the game, but they've got 2 points already in the house and a chance to draw for the third. Going to have the lead after 6. Nancy Martin with her final stone just needs full 12 foot.
Picking up some noise from some other sheets.
Yeah. Brings it right into the corner of the button. They do put their second 3-ender of the game onto the board. They now have a 7-5 lead. Springer and Springer will have last rock in the 7th.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Seventh end about to get underway. Aly Jenkins Mixed Doubles Memorial semifinal action. Shawn, Joyce, Ryan, Jacques with the action for you, and Nancy Martin and Steve Laycock with the lead for the first time in this game. Nancy Martin getting us underway in the 7th. She'll look to freeze to that pre-positioned stone at the back of the 4. Oh, they're using the power play now. This is the chip in on the corner guard. Moved it a little bit. The stone in the rings is open now, but there's still a guard up there. Have to expect Jill's probably going to try to duck around it now. They still can't hit the open one in the rings. Well, we know one other thing for sure now as we begin playing the 7th end, that when we begin playing the 8th, there's going to be 2 rocks on the center line because the power plays are done.
That's right. So it's very important to get at least 2 here. Naturally.
Steve's going to look to come around that stone that was just brought into the top 12. Jill would have liked to get a little bit deeper at least. It is off the center line. She didn't need to be anywhere near the tee line, but it's essentially still just a guard where it is and staggered with that blue one in front of it. Steve can get a good one in here. It could be a little tricky to get it out of the 8-foot. Brings it into the back 4-foot, does bury, maybe a little deeper than they might have liked. It's one where you could throw enough weight to make a pass at it. This is the 6th stone of the end. You can actually remove it from play if you want to here, but you throw enough weight to make it move, and if you happen to crash the red one at the top 12-foot and split them, that's not a horrible result either, because that stone at the back of the 4-foot then would be open. You'd have 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. You probably don't leave any doubles. think if anything, you want to tight ice this. You can't go by the red one, or you can't go by the blue one. If you're going to hit something, you got to hit the red one. You can't hit air. Line's looking good. He's either got the split. Going to get the split. Might have liked to roll the shooter a little bit farther, but there is a port to get to that blue one. There's actually a short angle raise, too.
Yeah, they got that red one just far enough past the guard, I think. Good spot. And
I'm okay with mine. Take some of the guests out, I guess.
Too many red ones hanging around for Martin and Laycock anyway, so they're going to make a play on the stone just in front of the tee line. It's the easiest one to remove. He's got room to roll to the inside. He probably wouldn't be terribly upset if he just hits this right on the nose. You hit it on the outside just a bit. I don't know that they'll like that.
No. I think Steve thought they might have been nose or even a hair inside there.
Well,
when he was cleaning it to him.
Yeah, well, he didn't get the line call that he was looking for. If he'd known he needed to carve that over, he would have swept for curl. The port's there, it's tough. The double is there, it's thin. You play the port and split the red again. It's not a bad result. Got to have a little bit more weight on this one. They were talking about throwing back 8 on the last one, and if you look at where the two stones ended up, I don't think he had all the back 8. You might like to make sure you're back line on this one. If you get to that blue, you want to get it out of the 8-foot. Well, a little trouble with the landing gear there, and that can always take a little bit of weight off your slide.
Interesting.
He had a lot of weight on that. It actually worked out exactly. Very interesting. He is sitting second, third, and fourth. That blue at the back 4-foot. Probably feeling a little lonely. Nancy's first thought was to play the double in the top 2 reds. The problem with that is the blue stays right out in the open and it leaves a straight back double. Right now, that stone in the top of the 8-foot is actually protecting shot rock a little bit. Do you hit the one on the edge of the 12 and try to roll under and sit 2? Steve checked the angle. There might be a way if you hit this hard enough and hit it just right, you can get rid of all 3 reds, and then leaving a double back doesn't hurt you.
If it does take off, you have the option to hit roll too, right?
throwing the out turn so that he gets a little more action off the contact. And that gear effect come into that second one with a little more steam. Boy, if you're too thin on it, you could take your own.
There you go.
Well,
that is a tragic miss.
I think Steve, probably a lot like me on that one, didn't see that happen until it was already halfway down the sheet, and then you can't take it back.
Yep.
So Garret will look to split the house here. Now, you do have to be careful. That stone at the top of the 8-foot is still mostly out in the open, so if you're deeper than it, they might be able to come off it to play a double. You want to kind of even it up to that stone. And as far over there as you can get it. I don't love where they're tapping the ice. It's going to be way deeper than that. This might not stop.
Nope, it's sailing right through.
Well, now Nancy has a chance to hit that one on the outside, try to roll into the 4-foot. And you have to get all the way into the 4-foot. That red stone on the top 8-foot is a sliver under the guard. If you only roll full 8, they've got the right angle to run the red onto the blue to keep their shooter for 2. If you get all the way under the red, it'll be awfully hard to play the run and keep both red stones in the rings. Final stone of the 7th end for Nancy Martin, looking to hit and roll off second shot. She gets the hit part, doesn't get the roll. So the Springer's still sitting 1, and Jill will have the chance to draw. Needs full 12-foot. If she can make it, we'll be all tied up. 7 ends will have decided nothing. Martin and Laycock had last rock in the first end. They're going to have last rock coming home.
Well, 7 ends deciding nothing means we're in for an exciting 8th end. The entire game on the line.
It also likely means we're not playing 9.
Yeah, in doubles, I would certainly hope not. Even to completely beginner teams, you know, if you miss the house on every shot, well, you still got the one that was preset in the 4-foot. So.
Yeah.
And these teams, as we can assure you, are not beginners.
Garret Springer has not laid a brush to this yet. It's curling, but it still looks like it has plenty of speed. Now, you can see it pick up that little extra bit of spin when it's dying coming into the house. We'll stop in the back 4-foot. Put 2 points on the board for the Springers. We're all tied up 7 apiece. 8th end action coming your way right after this. Martin and Laycock with last rock.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we are everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be part of your community. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Well, it all comes down to this.
8th end action, Aly Jenkins Mixed Doubles Memorial semifinal. Both of these teams were tied up coming home in the quarterfinals this morning. Both had a single point with last rock to get the win. So for Martin and Laycock, they're in that same position here as we begin the 8th end in this game. For Springer and Springer, they'll need to steal it. And it looks like Nancy and Steve are looking at trying to move something here, maybe split the guard. If that's what they're playing, I mean, I understand the thinking, but to reinvent the wheel in the 8th end, this is a shot you just don't play that much.
Especially now that it's gone from fours play.
Yeah. Well, Nancy's a skip in fours play, so she never plays this shot in fours.
Very true. Must be going for the back one
here. I think they were playing it with enough weight to move something, and it's either or. Hit something. It's pretty good. Now the Springers will try to draw to the top 4. And then if you're going to play that shot with the first one, I have to think Steve's peeling the guard on the next one, no matter where this ends up. You played that shot with the first one to make sure you got room to score. You can't just leave the guard up. And that means on the other side of the coin for the Springers, you got to get a good draw in here now, because if they're going to peel the guards, this stone needs to be in a spot where you can guard it all end and hope you can steal with it. And it is a long ways out there and a lot of weight. We'll come down to the blue at the back. They're set 2 for now.
You want to try to kill one, or it's definitely not the hit in the back. Just do we try and kill one or just peel it? I think you try to kill it this way. Yeah. Okay. Like, this feels totally right to you. Don't get anywhere near nose.
Peeling it over the top of those 2 reds in the back of the 4-foot, just on the off chance that you get close enough to the nose, you can maybe get all 3 of them moving. But I think you'll see Steve throw this to be safe. Make sure you don't want to hit nose. Even if you get all 3 reds, hitting nose still leaves a guard. Drives it by everything. Now you have to throw at least 1 guard and maybe 2, knowing that Steve's going to peel them both and then draw to the top of the 4-foot, take away the pocket, I guess.
That's probably what you got to do here.
This doesn't look light either. Yeah, we'll stop in time. It's a little tighter than they might have liked. Steve hits the same piece this time. He might actually make contact with those reds.
Yeah, they're certainly eyeing it up.
Yeah, the only thing you can't do is hit it on the nose.
Yeah, imagine you hit it on the nose, you hit in the crotch, and you spin it up to the pin.
Well, and your shooter stays there, so.
Yep. They're throwing it and icing it safe. It's the way to go for sure.
Just going to straight peel it again. I think Garret has to throw one more guard.
I think Nancy Martin's going to be pretty happy overall if this is what she's looking at on her last draw to the 4-foot. Maybe a little bit of backing depending on where the guard is. But they're not going to throw a guard on the last one.
I don't think it's going to be a guard. I think it's going to be the top of the 4-foot so that she can't really come to the back ones. Now, you still have to make that. You know, we're talking about a draw to a very small piece of ice to really take away the backing. You slide too deep, she's got a nose hit. You leave it short. With the amount of curl in this ice, it really doesn't take away the path. Garrett's a little warm again, I think.
There's even a little more on this one. It's not the end of the world. Makes the double easier, though. You don't have to flirt with nosing it now.
Do you even go after the double now, though?
Yeah, do you like that red one there?
I had to wonder if, and I didn't see them talk about it, but is that one where you deliberately come in on purpose and hope that he jams it? I heard that. I agree with that, Steve. You don't want to nose hit it.
You know, it almost looks like they're frozen. And they stand there kind of like statues sometimes. I was like, I thought my screen was frozen for a second. You know, they're just thinking things through.
Yeah, he's still hitting that top one. It's just a question of how they want to hit it. You could just make sure of the safe peel again. As much as you'd love to peel those back ones out of there, you'd sure hate to stuff this. He's playing the other turn.
Well, playing the out turn, when you hit the rock, it's going to gear the other direction to an in turn. It's going to kind of pull back, so you can hit it thinner and still make the double. But again, I don't know if they should want to make the double in this situation.
Well, you certainly don't want to stuff it on one or the other, because right now it's an even pocket. If you stuff it, one hot rock is higher than the other, and you can't really throw to the backing because there's the potential to spin off.
Well, this is danger.
This is not good. And he rolled to cover the back one a little bit.
What was that, the call? They didn't seem to.
I wouldn't think so. I don't think you want the shooter sitting there.
No. I'd have to agree with you on that one.
There's a few things to discuss here. You could play it on the out turn side, come around the blue, lever the draw to the butt. You can play the in turn, tuck a corner around the blue, and then it's a question of how deep you are. You probably want to be just half in the 4-foot, maybe at most full 4, because it's going to be a short run back. And she won't have any backing for the draw. She could play the wide out turn draw, come to the red at the back of the 4. But that's tough because she can only see half of it. If you come into the button area and make the draw as tough as possible, she's always going to have the run back. On this ice, I think I'd want to make her draw. Like if you could be full 4 foot, just full 4 foot, a sliver around that blue one so that she has to get by your shooter. We've seen so many rocks over curl and crash on a rock at the top of the 4 foot. She's got to take a ton of ice to get by yours here if you can put it there. Now, having said that, that's if you could walk it down and put it exactly where you want it. Unfortunately, they're not going to let you do that. You're going to have to let go before the hog line and get it into that spot at the other end. Jill Springer with her final stone here. Tie game coming home. They are sitting 1. She'd like to get one tucked into the top of the 4 foot and maybe get a chance to steal here. The line looks nice. I don't know if they've got the weight to get it there. Didn't get second shot out of it. Now it's pretty risky to go after the shot stone with takeout weight because you could slash it into the blue, you'd still lose. You got draws from either side. If you're drawing the out turn, you've got the red one for backing. No backing on the in turn side, but it's probably the more natural path to the button. For this one, you're not really drawing to the button, you're drawing to the edge of the 4 foot. Whichever one you like here. Looks like they've settled on the out turn. And now it looks like they haven't settled on anything because they're coming back down. I don't think they changed their mind. I think they're sticking with the out turn. You do have to be careful here for Nancy Martin with her last stone. If you try to throw and make sure you're all the way to the back one, thinking, well, if we move it, we're good. Even if we roll too far, you throw that kind of weight though, and you might not get to the line.
Absolutely. We've seen this weekend, it's a very weight sensitive ice. The finish is so late.
T-line back 4 is what they need, but this has got a curl yet.
It's coming in nice.
Boy, Steve had a little stumble with his footing. I thought he might go down and they'd have been without a brusher all the way down, but he manages to keep himself upright. They get right to the face of that red. Nancy Martin and Steve Laycock will move on to the final. Make it an 8-7 final over Springer and Springer. An exciting semifinal. Shawn, Joyce, Ryan, Jacques, we were happy to bring it to you. And the final scheduled to begin in about 45 minutes' time. We'll have that action for you here as well on the Curling Stadium Martensville and Curling Zone YouTube channels. Stay with us. Championship Sunday, final for the Aly Jenkins Mixed Doubles Memorial coming up at about 45 minutes.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
SaskTel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? SaskTel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.